안녕하세요. The day has finally come. Empousa has received her SSR version, Blooming Empousa. And what makes her even more special is that she is an ancestral unit. Today, I will explain her skills in detail. I will also guide you on how to build her the best team compositions and the perfect rotation to optimize your damage output. Blooming Empousa is a continuous damage dealer who specializes in piercing damage. If you don't know what piercing damage is yet, let me explain. It allows her to ignore a portion of the enemy's physical and magic defense, and it deals 200% damage to enemies who have shields. On top of that, she provides a massive all-damage bonus and grants an anti-death ability to her allies. Just hearing that she sounds absolutely OP, right? To understand exactly how she works, let's jump right into the skill analysis. First, let's talk about her synergy, Silver Moon Illusion. When you activate this with 3 vassals, not only do you gain synergy damage increase and reduction, but you also unlock a powerful scaling effect. For every single stack of continuous damage on the enemy, your damage dealt increases by 1%, and at 3 vassals, this doubles to 2% per stack, reaching a maximum of 40%. Also, at the start of battle, Blooming Empousa gains 2 extra stacks of Rose Crimson Brand immediately. This is crucial, because these stacks are the key resource she needs for her talent. Speaking of this resource, let's look at her talent, Eternal Blood Oath. When a Silver Moon ally takes fatal damage, she consumes 1 stack of Rose Crimson Brand to grant them Soul Guard. Soul Guard is incredibly powerful. It prevents HP from dropping below 1, makes them immune to control effects, and most importantly, grants the holder 20% increased attack. Interestingly, if you pair Blooming Empousa with Quinn, both anti-death effects will trigger at the same time when a Silver Moon ally takes fatal damage. Every time Empousa triggers this effect, she gets stronger too. She gains 10% attack speed and 5% attack for herself, stacking up to 5 times. So, the more she saves her team, the faster and stronger she becomes. Next is her basic attack, Thorned Petals. She throws a rose that bounces to the 2 nearest enemies, dealing piercing damage and inflicting thorns. Upon application, any bleed, affliction, or blood mark on the enemy is instantly converted into thorns. However, please note one important exception, Pestilence. Moving on to her special skill, Rose Garden. At level 10, this grants a permanent 34% all damage increase to herself and every ally in the 4 adjacent tiles. That is a total of 170% all damage bonus for your team, just from this passive skill. Finally, her ultimate, Judgment of the Blooming Flower. This costs 4 Blood Soul. First, it grants Soul Guard to herself for 8 seconds. Then, it deals piercing damage to surrounding units. And here is the finisher. It detonates all Thorns damage on enemies 2 times, settling the remaining duration instantly before removing the Thorns. Let's take a moment to analyze the numbers. When Blooming Empousa uses her ultimate, she deals an initial hit of X damage, applies 15 Thorn stacks, and then detonates all existing stacks on the field. Each Thorn stack deals 80% attack per tick. Since these are fresh stacks with 6 ticks remaining, and the ultimate triggers this damage twice, she is already dealing at least 14,400% attack. This is her baseline power even before considering any outside buffs. So, when you level up her ultimate, the only thing that increases is X, the initial hit. It doesn't affect that massive 14,400% detonation. Even at level 10, that initial hit only reaches 1200%, which is just a tiny fraction of her total damage. Based on this math, here is the smartest way to upgrade her skills. Your number one priority is her special skill. You should get this to level 10 as soon as possible. As for her ultimate and her basic attack, you can keep them at level 4 or level 6 to save resources. Now, let's talk about her gear. First, let's look at the upgrade levels. You should prioritize upgrading her headgear, ring, and armor. Push these 3 items to Echo plus 5. However, for the amulet, you can stop at just the Echo level. This is the most efficient use of your resources. Now for the substats, specifically the Echo Blessing. Since blooming Empousa deals piercing damage, the only way to truly amplify her output is through comprehensive damage buffs and critical hits. So, here is what you must look for. Your top priorities are all damage bonus and crit rate. You want these on every piece possible. For the third stat, remember that she already gains a huge attack speed buff from her talent. So you do not need to focus on speed here. Instead, you have 2 excellent options. You can go for crit damage bonus or blood soul recovery. Both are solid choices to round out her build. Next, let's talk about the overheat blessing. On your headgear and ring, look for all damage reduction and physical and magic damage reduction. For the armor, look for all damage bonus and ultimate damage up. And finally, for the amulet, again, prioritize all damage bonus. For the second line, you can choose either ultimate damage down for defense or healing bonus. Healing bonus is actually quite nice because it boosts the recovery amount when her soul guard ends. Now, let's talk about Resonantia. First, for my free-to-play friends. Resonantia 0 is already more than enough. As we proved in our calculation, her base mechanics allow for devastating damage. If you are saving resources, stop here. Next is Resonantia 1. She will gain up to 3 stacks of Rose Crimson Brand each time she casts her ultimate. Also, your Silver Moon allies can get the Soul Guard effects up to 2 times. In Clan Hunt, your units rarely die, so you cannot trigger the stack recovery from her talent. But in PvP, or story mode, where fatal damage is common, this becomes very powerful. Unless you focus on the arena, you can skip this. Resonantia 3 is a great milestone for low spenders. It grants an extra 780 flat attack from affinity stats. It's a simple but significant boost that scales perfectly with her multipliers. Resonantia 5 increases the duration of Soul Guard from 8 to 12 seconds. This buff is actually huge. A 50% efficiency boost that lets your Silver Moon allies stay invincible for up to 24 seconds. It sounds amazing, right? But like I mentioned before, this is really only a game changer in PvP. But if you want to see a true transformation, look at Resonantia 7. At base level, she applies 3 stacks of DOT per basic attack. But with S7, that number jumps to 7 stacks per basic attack. This is the ultimate upgrade, spreading poison more than twice as fast for massive explosions. However, the effectiveness decreases if the boss has fewer than 3 enemies, as shown in this comparison table. And Resonantia 9? Well, that is strictly for the whales. If you are there, thank you for supporting the game. So, my verdict is simple. Resonantia 0 is more than enough for most players. Resonantia 3 is the sweet spot for low spenders. And Resonantia 7 is for those who want to turn the battlefield into a field of thorns. However, if you're someone who absolutely loves PvP, then Resonantia 1 and 5 are choices you just can't overlook. They make such a big difference in the arena. Just take a look at your current balance and see if it feels right for you. Now, for artifacts, since her main damage comes from detonating all stacks at once with her ultimate, Peacemaker is the most logical choice. It amplifies ultimate damage directly, giving you huge burst numbers. However, if you do not have Peacemaker yet, Poseidon is a perfect alternative. It increases damage against enemies with debuffs. Now, let's talk about team compositions. There's so much room for creativity with the Silver Moon synergy. For Clan Hunt and Raid, where you have full control over your vassals, these two specific lineups will help you maximize your damage output. On the other hand, for PvP, since it's in auto mode, things work a little differently. Here are a few solid teams you can reference to keep your rank high. Let's take a look. As for the rotation, let's use this Amulet Raid boss as an example. First, you'll want to activate the buffs from Acapella and Fleeting Bella. Once those are active, use Fanny's ult to stack as many doties on the boss as possible, then follow up with Blooming Empousa's ult to detonate them all for massive damage. Now, for Clan Hunt, patience is key. You should wait until you have 9 blood souls before slowly cycling through Acapella's and Fleeting Bella's skills. Just remember to always trigger them at exactly 9 blood souls for the best effect. After that, unleash your burst combo, Empousa, then Aca, then Fanny, and finally Empousa again. Just rinse and repeat from there. And that wraps up my full guide on Blooming Empousa. I hope these tips and math breakdowns help you master her kit and save those precious resources. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more Silver Moon tips. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Taomir Payo.